on, Daddy Doodles. The power of imagination. The power of creativity. All children are born geniuses. You are limitless in potential.
All right. Okay, guys. Welcome to an impromptu session of Daddy Doodles. This session is brought to you by me. Okay. So I'm going to talk about a couple things. I wrote some points out. I think a lot of people are confused in the world about the place of art, where it belongs, how it belongs, why we do it, those things. And some people think that it's something you can separate, that it's not connected to other quality of life issues. And when I say quality of life, I'm using it in terms of how we actually live our lives day to day, how it touches people or not. Some people, they feel it doesn't touch them. And that's not an irrelevant statement when people feel like there's so many other things that are more important in their lives. I completely understand why they feel that way. And I want to acknowledge that while you don't have to look at art to actually live and breathe and have a life, so to speak, I want you to know that art is an important part of what makes us healthy. And I'm going to go in a little deeper on this camera shot here. There we go. We have one viewer. Oh, thank you. Whoever's joined me. I appreciate you joining me. Please share this with anybody if you can. So I've got a table here full of stuff, right? And I've got some background music. Hopefully it's calming to you. I want to talk about a couple things that are, got some notes over here. So first of all, I want to talk about power. What is power? Like, what does it mean? In the Latin, we have the word potentia. Potentia. So let me get a pen out and start writing those things down. So we have power. I should get my little trademark gloves on, right? So for children, art is one way in which they can exercise their power. If they want to feel good, they draw a flower, right? If they want to feel good, they'll draw a house. If they want to feel good, they'll draw a garden. This is their imagination, right? The imagination, that's a child's power. The ability they have to see what's not there, to imagine something. That is influence. That influences their mind, their reality, and how they see the world. So a child has that power, the power of imagination. That imagination allows them to co-create an existence, whether it's in their mind or it's in the real world. And what I mean by real world is the physical, temporal real world. Not just your thinking, but how it comes about in your life. So throughout history, we have really great examples of imagination and power coming together. When you think about potentia, it's the root of potential, right? It's just missing the L at the end of it. Potentia, potential. It means might, strength, grasp, and hold. It means control over, right? A hold. So might, strength, grasp, hold. Okay. So a child's mind has that ability and power. Every child, your child, my child, every child is born a genius in a sense, right? With a limitless potential and the ability to learn anything, right? So that in itself is powerful, and that imagination is co-creating an existence. Okay? So, art, if you want to talk about what is art worth in society? Okay, what is art worth in our society? Think about that for a second. Art equals, I need a better pen. Maybe this one's got more ink. Art equals $763 plus billion in U.S. economy. Art equals 763 plus billion in the U.S. economy. Artists have power and influence, and that's why they're afraid of us. We're not bad-natured, most of us. Just like anybody else, we can be, but most artists want to create something better out of the world. Okay, I'm gonna grab another pen. My pens are going to crap. They're all falling apart. Let's see if I got another kind of pen in here. Oh, okay. I have a Sharpie. I'm going to use this Sharpie instead. Let's see if I can get this thing to work. So since art can bring $763 billion in the U.S. economy, how culturally relevant is art or artists? How effective are they at creating change? Well, art is tied to everything. It's my friend Goody, African-American artist, a personal hero of mine, friend of mine. His mentor was Maury Turner, who did the Wee Pals. Maury Turner made a living on art. He's an African-American artist who, I'd say black artist, I guess is the most PC thing to say, right? So I'm always learning. Things are changing, the vernacular. So I have to learn, like anybody else, what's the right thing to say on these things. To expound on that, Maury Turner did the very first cartoon. It was multicultural in the world, and it was syndicated. So a syndicate means that a company will take and they'll sell that to all these different periodicals and newspapers and books, and you can republish his work all over places. So 10 years before Goody drew anything, Morris Turner, I think I spelled that right, Wee Pals. So Maury was a personal friend of mine. Anybody who knows Maury Turner knows how important he is to the African American community, or the black community, right? Proper to say that, black community. Maury Turner's work was not only historic, it was incredibly powerful in bringing people together. So he was a part of that $763 billion industry as an artist. Now, the reason people wouldn't want you to get involved to be an artist or encourage your children to be artists is because they somehow think that artists can't make a living or that they're low on the totem pole. But artists change the world all the time. There's a painting by Picasso called Guernica. It's about the bombing of Guernica. And it went around and raised money for people who were hurting during the Spanish Revolution. So that was a very powerful painting. It was a commentary about the horrors of war, and it was an anti-war piece. Now, when you're anti-war and anti-violence, you are a revolutionary just by being that way. When you're an original, like Morris Turner, who was friends with Charles Schulz, everyone knows Peanuts. Y'all know Snoopy, you know. Everyone who knows that knows Maury Turner did, and he admits it, the equivalent of the Peanuts, but multicultural. A Jewish kid, a black kid, a Hispanic cat. All these kids were like a rainbow coalition, he called them, right? So art not only contributes to the economy, but it contributes to the healing of people. After the earthquake, a local artist named Sherry Tobin got people together to make art, and that helped to heal them with their broken china, things like that. So take a look at Sherry Tobin. She's alive. She's local. She's really watching what's going on in the world and having a very difficult time, as a lot of people are digesting what's happening. A lot of people have been hurting for a long time. So there's lots of things to learn from this moment in history, right? And we can change things too. So Morris Turner, 10 years prior to Clevin Goody Godot, who many of you know that I was very good friends with him and his wife Jeanette. Their family invited me to his deathbed. I was actually sleeping on a little couch next to him when his last breath on earth was breathed out. So, potestas, potentia, might, strength, grasp, hold. The root of potential, the word potential, comes from potentia, Latin. Power. Power, that's where that comes from. That's power is actually the potential, the might, the strength, the grasp, the hold of something. And when you have a hold of $763 billion, your influence, your potential is more powerful than anybody. And I can tell you right now, anybody who's alive today who is likely a local politician will not be remembered for more than a little byline and won't necessarily change the world. It's you that can change the world. Your creativity. If you're a child, one of the very first things I want you to know is that cartoonists used to meet with presidents up until the late 60s and maybe even the early 70s. But this was told to me by Goody, because you have these guys, they don't know how they're going to be portrayed by cartoonists. They're kind of afraid of cartoonists. Cartoonists say what they want. You know, the guy who knew most about the Zodiac was a cartoonist, one of the experts. You know, so we're astute, we pay attention. We see you, so to speak, right? So any child who wants to do cartoons, encourage them to do cartoons. It's not just a relaxing activity. It could be a living, like Morris Turner. Morris Turner even went during Vietnam on a tour, USO tour, and he drew cartoons for soldiers and helped provide some level of healing for people on their deathbeds even. He visited them. And Goody made cards for people so they could, celebrate things, and they could send a sympathy card, or they can, check in on a family member. His inspiration was his mother, right? So then let's talk about OPs, I guess. OPES, wealth, resources, means, treasure, substance. That's another thing, power. So $763 billion in the U.S. economy. That is not all power, but that's one version of power, right? Your own personal power is greater than money could ever be. Your potential is greater than money could ever be. Every child's potential. They are a genius at birth. Every single child. Encourage them to draw. Okay? They have power and imagination. And that imagination is what we need today, is to have a child's imagination to create peaceful change. And it won't all come by peace, I believe you, but believe you me, I should say. But then let's talk about other artists for a second. I want to talk about Cara Walker. Let's put this under, let's say, artists. This is an artist to check out, okay? So Cara. By the way, this list is I'm about to give you is from a New Yorker article. It's a really good article about art and politics, things like that. Cara Walker is a black woman who is born in November 26, 1969 in Stockton. She's a year older than me. Okay? And Cara Walker does silhouettes and installations, usually based on race and racial tensions in America and things like that. So she takes these concepts and makes them 3D. And installation is a thing. Like you could put for instance, an installation could be a couch on fire in a building, or a projection onto a couch, like as if it's on fire. Okay, so she does 3D art, and I want to give you a quote from her. She says, "Art as a pursuit embraces so many facets of life that it figuratively works," in quotes, works on the spirits and minds of those who encounter it. So what does it mean to work on the spirit or the mind of somebody who encounters art? Think about that for a second. What does that mean? It means you have an influence, you have a power. Your imagination has led to an influence and a power that allows you to say something with your artwork. And if, it could be anything. Trust me, like from a child's perspective, who is, by the way, born a genius, a child does a painting and gives it to their mother as a gift. That's honoring their mother or their father, right? Or their grandmother, maybe. So those children create a smile. They influence the world. That smile that they create for their grandparent is powerful. That is the power and the beginning of the potentia or potential of a child's influence in the world. All these colors, these are just colors. They're useless on their own, right? They're pretty, but without this being turned into something else, it's dead. It's inanimate. By itself, it means nothing. But if you put it to paper and commit it to a concept or an image, it means more. So, Cara Walker, look her up. Cara Walker is an important artist today. She's 1 year older than I am. Black is beautiful, and she's a beautiful lady. She is beautiful inside and out because she can see through the baloney. Then there's Banksy. Oh, Banksy. Oh my goodness, Banksy. C. There we go. Sorry about that, guys. So Banksy. What's important about Banksy? What Banksy does is he creates a piece of social commentary in his art. It is known as street art. So Banksy's not, initially he started off not in museums so much, but he did actually put his own work in museums. He went and hung his work next to classical paintings in different places around the world. So he's sort of he does performance art too in a way, because when you do work like that, like when you take street art and you bring it into a museum, you're taking the power and your imagination and taking power back. The art institutions have been traditionally paired with money. Art World in New York, or it could be just the white moneyed world, or a lot of these endowments and people who pay for the stuff, they're billionaires, some of them, that make these museums. And in some of their houses, you'll see pre-Columbian artwork. It's the ownership of other cultural works that are important to a people, but you may not see them in person. I've seen Picasso's in a person's house. I've seen Pinheiro's work in a person's house. I've also seen Monet's work in a hallway in a person's house. Now this is way out of my reach, okay? I also saw a portrait of Rembrandt by Rembrandt in someone's house. So I'm not friends with billionaires, but because I've done work in television, I've been in some billionaires' houses, if you can imagine, right? So Banksy took street art and he would bring it into a museum and place it there. He's taking power over. He's reiterating that he's here. I have a voice. I'm here. And people don't know the identity of Banksy. Nobody knows who he is. Well, somebody does, but I don't know who he is. You probably don't know who he is. Banksy. And then he does social commentary through his art on the street. Okay? Then, Ai Weiwei. It's spelled A-I W-E-I. I don't want to get this wrong. W-E-I. He does installations also. He's an important artist because he's a Chinese artist. He's living in a regime where they want to suppress people and their free speech. But art is free speech. Art is telling a story. Art is setting a cultural context for the world you're living in. Art is co-creating a world you're living in. There's not one person who's ever been in a car or lived in a house that hasn't been influenced by art or an artist. A creative is somebody who, maybe they're a technical artist, maybe they're an architect. They design the house you're in. They create from their imagination, and their power is in that creativity. Okay? Maybe it's a hashtag, Black Lives Matter, where someone creates a conversation and a movement based upon that. And by the way, let's get into this. Where's that other drawing here? Come on. There we go. Talk about this for a second. So this is what they call the plague doctor, right? It's from 14 something or other. The plague doctor is the plague doctor. I'm using the plague doctor as sort of your educator, your guide, a spirit guide, if you were to say that, you know. And I'm using the plague doctor to create those conversations around what we're experiencing in the world. There's a really wonderful poem, which I should have brought it here to read. It's from 1911, and it talks about bread and roses. And that phrase was used and reiterated by a women's movement, suffragette movement in the United States, but also in other countries, in the UK, other places. And what it means is fair subsistence, fair pay. And the roses are about dignity. So the plague doctor's head is on fire with the knowledge of this. And the roses being thrown up in the air. And then I have a black person here, young, right? A young black person who, again, all children are geniuses at birth. We dumb them down by putting them into boxes we call education, school. Sometimes they don't get an opportunity to learn about the history or past or anything else. And what we're looking at is a decolonization. So we're talking about how this country came about, how these things have changed us, hurt us, you know, everything from our diet to our opportunities are based in these things. Yes, rest in power, goody. Exactly. So people are here who are indigenous still. This is meant as a phantom, though, just like he's a phantom here, right? This young person, you can't tell girl or boy, just got the natural. It's a powerful statement from the 60s, having that hairdo and not ironing your hair or anything like that, right? It's revolutionary just to grow yourself a natural if you can. Just to honor one's ancestors and parents if you can. So, bread and roses. Why is this important? Movements of revolution that are started by women are very powerful. Women are symbolic of a lot of things on the earth, and in a patriarchal system or a male-dominated system, there's disdain for women. But in a right system, one that would be good, one that honors your mother, you know, they're the better half of us in a lot of ways. They give birth to us, they raise us, protect us. If things are appropriate, if you know you're getting what you need, you know, mothers are very special and important in the world. This movement was started by women. Bread and roses, from a poem, but women, ancestors. There's a great mural on St. I think it's St. Peter's in San Francisco on 24th Street in the Mission District. And if you go there, it has this wonderful, it's very sad in a way, but it's also really wonderfully done. It has ancestors. It shows the war between the Spanish, the dominance, and it shows the bodies there. And the bodies, plants are growing from the bodies naturally, right? So rooted from the people, the indigenous people, the original people of that land, that they're still there, and everything grows from there. You know, the cells of people are there. And it's sort of it's a message that you should take with you. But if you have a young person who's interested in art, I highly recommend give them every opportunity they can have. Don't worry about the paper. This is cheap paper. See that? Don't even worry about color or anything like that. Let them draw all the time, anytime. Give them an opportunity to co-create, to see that their own power is there, that they have that ability. And you're going to find yourself having healthier, happier children. Be educated about the past, understand it better. You know, understand what's happening now in the world, movements, talk to your kids, listen to your kids. And whatever you do, remember, if you're a person who thinks that capitalism is important, you know, then, okay, $763 billion is what the U.S., how the U.S. is involved. We export $20 billion in arts. $20 billion. That's a lot. It's no joke. And when movements, politicians are gone, you remember the movement still. The politicians' voices will fade into nowhere. And your art will be around. It can be around for hundreds of years after you're gone. It's important that you allow your kids and yourself the time to be creative and create art. So thank you guys for joining me. This is, I'm going to end this pretty soon here. I want you to know that now's the time. If you're feeling creative and you want to get in it now. Everybody has a hand, all hands on deck. Everybody can do something right now. And I think it's important that we see we're all part of the same family, all of us. Someone sitting in the middle, someone from the past and present, the voices of people before us, and those who have the opportunity and the willingness to create and to educate us, right? And remember, it all goes back to how these movements are started and what they mean. Bread and roses, sustenance and dignity, and everybody deserves it. It's a human right. So please be creative, have fun, share this video with people, and if you know anybody with kids, share it with them. It's always archived. I'm doing these things unscheduled as well as the scheduled 10 a.m. shows every week. And then I post edited shows on Facebook. So every Friday I'm on Facebook, 10 a.m. You can hashtag Daddy Doodles to find me on Instagram. You can doodle with us, like us on Facebook. Also, you can go to YouTube, and I have a channel there, and you have to do the hashtag to find it. Hashtag Daddy Doodles. And then you'll find the videos that I post there, which have little lessons and fun little hangouts and all that. So I love you guys. Thank you for joining me. You have an influence in the world. Your children and you can change the world. And I hope that you have a great day and the rest of your week. And I hope I see some of you on Friday for the regular hangout and drawing session. We're now at 29 minutes and 44 seconds, 45, 46, 47. That's it. I have very little else to say other than I'm working on a bunch of stuff with the Plague Doctor. He's teaching about fascism and a little koala bear there talking about the environment. That's it. I'll see you soon. Thanks. Cheers.
You are limitless in potential.
Thanks for watching.
Thanks for watching.